Hi, good morning all. Today is the continuation of the last class, that is Spark Introduction Part 2 we are going to discuss. So as we have already seen in the last class, Hadoop basically solve two different kind of problem statement. One is for storage layer, another is for processing part. For storage layer, it provides a beautiful platform or a tool or a component I can say, that is HDFS, stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. Similarly, for processing part, it provides one of the component called MapReduce. But as we have already know, there are a lot of challenges, lot of disadvantages are there in the MapReduce, which is act as a processing engine. To overcome that, scientists they have launched one more processing engine which is more powerful than MapReduce. That is called Spark, and it is given by the Apache company. That's why we call it as Apache Spark. Now let's see what the definition. There are a lot of definition I'm just showing which just validate the key feature of Apache Spark. Let's go through one by one. The definition one: Spark is a unified analytics engine for large scale data processing. Analytics means the systematic processing of the data. Now, let's say what is the second definition? Spark is a cluster computing platform designed to be fast and general purpose, also called as Lightning Fast and General Purpose Cluster Computing System. Now, according to definition 3, Spark is a framework that allow you to solve different type of complex data problem while processing. The purpose of Spark is nothing but Spark is only for big data processing. It's not taking care of the data storage. Again, for the data storage, we rely on the HDFS because HDFS plays very vital role, plays very well while storing the data. But while processing the data, we have seen lot of disadvantages was there with MapReduce. That's how we introduce another processing engine that is called Spark. Now, the question arises, sir, in how many different languages I can write the Spark program? Guys, you can write Spark. Okay, Spark is basically written in Scala programming language, but it provides high level API. For example, you can write Python programming while dealing with Spark. You can write Java programming while dealing with Spark. You can write Scala as well. Along with that, you can write R programming language dealing with Spark and all. Can Spark integrate with Hadoop? The answer is yes. Spark easily integrated with Hadoop to access and store data. Spark can integrate with other storage system also to process the data. For example, let's say local file system, LFS, Oracle database, Hive which is a data warehouse, MySQL again a RDBMS database, Cassandra which is a NoSQL DB, HBase which is a component of Hadoop, again it's a NoSQL DB and all. Now, another question raised by one of my previous students. Sir, what kind of file support Spark support actually? So it support different file format. One is text file format. Second one is sequential file format. Third one is Abro file format. Fourth one is PySpark file format. And any other Hadoop input file format also it support. And whatever you are seeing here, let's say Abro, PySpark and all, these are compression file format. Okay. Now, is Spark depending on Hadoop? Spark does not require Hadoop. By default, Spark sorts and store file in HDFS. Spark is meant for processing the data, not for storage the data. So while storing the data, again we have to rely on HDFS. If we are not relying on HDFS, let's say we are not working with on-premises, if we are working on a cloud-based system, then for example, I'm using AWS cloud. Then for that, I have to store the data in Amazon S3. Similarly, for example, I'm using the Azure cloud or GCP cloud. I have to use the respective file system to store my data. But again, for processing engine, I have to use Spark. Getting my point? Clear? Okay. Now, history of Spark. Spark started in the year 2009 as a research project. It was open source in 2010. In 2013, Spark was donated to Apache Software Foundation, where it becomes top level Apache project in 2014. Okay, that was the total history of Spark. Now Spark sign on where? almost in every domain, every sector. In Hadoop, MapReduce is a bit slow while processing large data set because it requires more read and write operation. Spark offers speed while processing large data set because it does not require more read and write operation. Why? Because it has its own in-memory computing power. Getting my point? Now, one of my student named called Chaitanya, he's telling, oh, Spark is fast, fast, fast in processing, right? So how much fast? Whenever we are telling Spark is much more faster in case of processing compared to MapReduce, how much? In terms of what X? Okay, so I can say Spark is 100 times faster compared to MapReduce in-memory computing. Okay, Spark is up to 100 times faster than MapReduce in terms of in-memory processing and 10 times faster in terms of disk operation. So Spark is up to 10 times faster than MapReduce in the terms of disk processing, but 100 times faster in terms of in-memory processing and all. Okay, now the time has come to discuss about what are the different Spark features are available. As I told you, one more thing is very speed because Spark is much more faster compared to the MapReduce. Then in-memory computing, then something called fault tolerance, then lazy evaluation. Let's try to discuss one by one. What do you mean by lazy evaluation? What do you mean by fault tolerance? What do you mean by in-memory computing and all? Okay, fine. Let's start with speed. So as we discussed, Spark is speed about 100x faster in memory and 10x faster on the disk operation. Now in-memory computing, what is that? With in-memory processing, we can increase the processing speed. Here, the data is being cached. So we no need to fetch the data every time from the disk. Okay, thus the time is saved and no need to do more number of read and write operations from the disk and all. Why? Because the intermediate data or the output we are getting stored in the in-memory. Getting my point? So that we can reduce the network round trip. We can reduce the burden on the server. We can avoid the server crash as well. Okay. Now, fault tolerance. What do you mean by fault tolerance? Let's try to understand. Faults refer to failure. Yes or no? You know, fault means what? Failure. Thus, fault tolerance in Apache Spark is the capability to operate and to recover loss after a failure occurs. Guys, what happens? You know, in Hadoop, we have already discussed it is a master-slave architecture. Yes or no? Similarly, Spark is also master-slave architecture. We have the master node, or we have something called worker node or the data node and all. During the processing of the any task, for example, any of the worker node goes down, then what happens? Whatever the task I have assigned to that worker node, same copy of the task will assign to a readily available another worker node. Then meantime, what happens? The failed name node or the worker node try to recover it back from the failed state to active state. That process is called fault tolerance. The process of recovering back from the failed state to active state is called fault tolerance. Okay. Now, lazy evaluation. What do you mean by lazy evaluation? All the transformation are lazy in nature. That is, it does not give the result immediately. Once the action trigger, then it start processing. Okay. Now you can see data processing terminology. So you can see batch processing, streaming data processing, interactive processing, then graph processing. Now definition, to process historical data is called batch data processing. Streaming data, as soon as data generate, need to be processed, real-time data, right? Best example, whenever you might have seen the cricket matches going on, like live streaming data, right? Now interactive mode, take input from the user to run quickly. Like for example, you want to see the output by using the Jupyter notebook. You're just writing the code, run it, you are able to see the output instantly, right? Then graph, it uses graphical representation. Now what are the best use cases of that? Batch processing best use cases, basically I can say if working with very large data set. And coming to streaming processing, if you want to result in a real-time mode. And interactive, frequent user interaction. You are giving the input, getting the output, giving the input, getting the output and all. Now graph processing, social network analysis and all. Okay, clear? Now, try to understand what is Spark like before and after. Like before Spark come into the picture, come into the market, what was the scenario? Now once Spark come into the market, what they have changed drastically in the data world. Try to understand. Now before Spark, Hadoop MapReduce can only perform batch processing. Then for streaming processing, what we have to do? Because MapReduce cannot take care of streaming processing. For that, we have to rely on another third-party tool called either Apache Kafka or maybe Apache Storm or S4 kind of different kind of tool. Okay, Apache Impala and Apache Tej can only perform interactive processing. Similarly, Node4j and Apache Graph can only perform the graph processing and all. Now, after Apache Spark, what happens? It takes care of everything. It takes care of batch processing. It takes care of streaming processing. It takes care of interactive processing. It takes care of graph processing and all. So basically, we call it as unified platform. Why? Because everything under the same umbrella. Whether it's a batch processing or streaming processing or interactive processing or graph processing, I no need to depend upon third-party tools. If I know Spark, I can happily enjoy, I can do my task, any kind of task by using Spark. That's all. That is the benefits of using or learning the Spark. Now I think you got the enthusiasm why a person should learn the Spark. That is very, very important. Spark is called as unified stack. Why? Any organization prefer to run only one software which is having all stack of processing instead of running 5 to 10 independent software system. These costs include deployment, maintenance, testing, support, etc. Spark is a unified stack integrated with a different kind of processing. Now make a note. So we can say as Spark is a single point of contact for all type of processing. Are you getting my point? Because whether, as I told you, whether it's a batch processing, streaming processing, or any type of processing, I no need to depend upon any other third-party tool. If I know Spark, I can work like anything. Okay, guys, so that's all about the Spark introduction part 2. Going forward, we'll try to understand each and every component. We'll try to understand what is RDT, what is dataset, what is data frame, how to create RDT, what are the different way to create RDT, how to create an empty RDT, how to create RDT from existing RDT, how to create RDT by loading the file and all. Each and everything we will learn one by one. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.